Today's broadcast is brought to you by viewers like you. Become a member today and unlock exclusive content at patreon.com/NorthstarRadio. If you're an American, you likely had a very similar childhood to my own. You'd wake up in the morning, and before you had to leave for school, you'd turn on your small box TV and watch as much Nickelodeon or Disney Channel as you could before the bus showed up. And maybe at night, after eating dinner, you'd turn on the TV once again and watch sports, reality TV, or game shows with your family. But at around the age of 13, this all stopped. I had just pooled all the money I had to buy a computer, and from that day onward, I was exclusively an enjoyer of YouTube. It was 2014, and the YouTuber era was at its peak. It was quaint, charming, personal. All you needed was a camera and an idea for your voice to be heard. It didn't even have to be a nice camera. Any camera would suffice. But over time, as YouTube became more and more mainstream, as small YouTube channels began to grow, YouTube started to feel different. These once personal channels began hiring crew members to create bigger and better productions, to the point that YouTube is unrecognizable in 2024. You no longer have big YouTubers, but big YouTube channels with massive production companies behind them. What happened? YouTube was created in 2005, at a time when the internet was still a fairly new concept. While at first it was simply a video hosting website where you could upload home videos and share them with your family across the country who also had access to the internet, it eventually became something more. When people realized it wasn't just a place to host videos, but it was somewhere where they could make a name for themselves and grow an audience. All you needed was to be clever or attractive or talented, and your content would be watched by thousands, with very little technical skills required. Many early YouTubers blew up on the platform without doing any editing whatsoever, and if they did edit their videos, it was extremely minimal. A high-quality camera wasn't even required for your content to be appreciated. Smosh, for example, was the first channel to really blow up on YouTube. By 2009, they already had 1 million subscribers. But in the early days of their channel, the production quality was garbage, just using a webcam. But the content was funny. People enjoyed it, and they blew up because of it. But as channels like Smosh grew even greater in the early 2010s, so did the production value, to the point that these channels no longer had the personal charm that made them successful in the first place.
It's interesting because I've been so excited about the launch of this expanded Good Mythical Morning for many months now. We've been thinking about it. We've been gearing up. We've been bringing new people onto the team in order to make this happen. We've done so many things on the internet and tried new things that we know the moment you try a new thing, period. I'm not even talking about changing or expanding something. There's all of this expectation. Like, we've been trained to expect an avalanche of feedback.
I don't want to just write off all the feedback that we've gotten and just say, you guys are just resistant to change. No. Now, first of all, you guys are resistant to change. That is a fact.
Rhett and Link have a long and complicated history. From kids who were obsessed with Saturday Night Live to eventually becoming professional missionaries after college, they eventually achieved massive online success. Not from their highly produced music videos on their main channel, but from their daily, more personal show, Good Mythical Morning.
Can we tell the difference between the Costco generic brand and the name brand product?
Let's talk about that.
Good Mythical Morning.
I began watching Good Mythical Morning in about 2014. This was at the time when Good Mythical Morning was blowing up, and their subscriber count on their GMM channel, Rhett and Link 2, surpassed the main channel, Rhett and Link. They had recently hired a few extra crew members and moved into a nicer studio. They started making more food-related episodes and capitalized on their popularity.
Mealworms. Will it donut?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Now these are alive.
Well, they're moving. They could be robotic, but I think they are alive.
The growth was obvious, but the show still felt extremely personal and charming. I remember being in middle school and having an alarm set for when they'd upload the new episode. And every day before heading upstairs to shower, I'd gleefully turn on Good Mythical Morning. They were a massive part of my childhood. It all changed for me, however, when Rhett and Link received an offer they could not refuse, a partnership with YouTube itself.
Tell me about the expansion of the show.
Yeah, what a great idea. That is right. Starting today, each Good Mythical Morning episode is going to consist of 4 videos. This is the first one, and there are 3 more waiting for you right after this one.
Knowing that I'm going to wake up to a plethora of YouTube comments that then will define my self-image.
This was an effort by YouTube to support and invest in their biggest creators on the platform, but it went a little bit too far for Rhett and Link's audience. Starting in season 12, they began uploading 5 episodes of Good Mythical Morning every day. This included regular celebrity guest stars and tons of different games and activities. It was clearly an attempt to create a sort of late night talk show feel. But when more episodes were being made every day, the quality of each episode really seemed to suffer, and it was quite obvious to the audience that the show got worse, and Rhett and Link weren't having as much fun making it. They grew too fast and tried too much, leading to the extended version of the show being scrapped by season 14, returning to their regular schedule of 1 video a day, including a bonus episode, the show after the show, Good Mythical More. The extended version is ultimately what caused me to stop watching Good Mythical Morning, but when they returned to their regular upload schedule, I never went back, because although the extended version of the show ended, their YouTube partnership continued, and the overproduced nature of the show, a stark contrast from the original show I knew and loved, was too much for me. Every single episode was some sort of elaborate game that included eating food. It almost felt like the algorithm was all they were focused on. They had a massive crew, so keeping the company afloat was the #1 priority. But it was all too artificial for me, and now I don't watch their YouTube channel at all. But I am still a huge fan. The only way I consume their content is through their podcast, Ear Biscuits, where Rhett and Link sit down and just talk for an hour. It's a much more personal experience.
I'm about to count to 100,000. You don't believe me? Just watch this video. All I want to say is tweet the video out, share it with, maybe Keem or Scarce, and if you're a YouTuber, just help a guy out. I mean, think of the pain I'm about to go. Screw it. Let's 1, 2, 3, 4.
I recreated every single set from Squid Game in real life.
mrbeast had a similar experience to Rhett and Link, as he also had humble beginnings, making simple yet creative videos by himself and with his friends. mrbeast started off making endurance challenge videos, where he'd count to 100,000 or read the dictionary, and these videos evidently got tons of views. And as his channel grew more and more, he too began outsourcing pieces of the production. Editing, shooting, writing. mrbeast claims to take all the money he makes from a video and invest it in the next video. So he must have tons of money to spend on a large number of crew members.
No, every dollar I make, we just put back into the videos, which is why they've gotten so big, because every year the views go up, we make more money. And that's the thing, most people would usually take that money out of the business and, go buy a giant mansion or things like that. But I just consistently put it back in the videos, and that's why that set you were on, it's pretty gnarly. And it's pretty crazy how that's just a YouTube video.
But similar to Rhett and Link, mrbeast took it a bit too far. And while he still tries to give the overall feeling that it's just a bunch of friends having a good time making videos, it's quite clearly a production that I can't even fathom the size of.
This is the most insane laser obstacle ever created. And this is just one of many dangerous and extreme laser mazes that we built for this video. And whichever one of these 10 contestants survives the longest wins 250 grand.
He has elaborate sets that people spend weeks inside of. He uses complex 3D animation in nearly all of his videos. He even had an entire abandoned city cleared out of all homeless people by the local police.
Jimmy!
Yeah?
I found a bike!
That looks like a nice bike.
That is one hundo P, a homeless person's bike, possibly stolen, that was there because a homeless person was using it until the police cleared this area out for this for this filming, for the record.
Find that.
In here! This is the coolest abandoned city ever!
That is literally way too nice in general for it to be there. Now restolen. Yeah.
I am.
All right.
The production value simply reached a point that made mrbeast's content unwatchable. And mrbeast would even agree with me to a certain extent, as he's addressed that moving forward they're experimenting with a slower, more relaxed editing style. However, that was a while ago now, and I can't say his videos have gotten any better. There are many examples of independent YouTubers growing to an immense scale that outsourcing at least some of their production is inevitable. But then we have another kind of YouTube channel, a channel that never began as something personal, quaint, or charming, a kind of YouTube channel that came out of nowhere and became successful seemingly overnight.
Are you two attracted to each other?
I mean, kind of cute.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's even worse than saying no. You're kind of cute. Kinda cute? You could have just said cute. You could have just said cute. And I mean, she's guilty of it too. She was like, just trying to find some nice thing to say.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to show police also interacting with white guys? Because more white guys get killed than black guys by cops.
Oh God, I'm gonna lose my mind. This dude is killing me. Every time I swear to God, this motherfucker is shaving years off of my life, dude.
Cut and Jubilee, while two separate media companies on the West Coast, based out of Seattle and Los Angeles respectively, fall under the same YouTube channel umbrella. These two production companies produce several different shows that look very similar to something you'd see on TV. Cut produces a lot of variety content, some of the more popular shows being People Decide Who Gets $1,000, Truth or Drink, or the somewhat new show that propelled them back into the spotlight, The Button. While Cut has more subscribers, Jubilee is definitely my favorite of the two and is a bit more culturally relevant. They focus more on human behavior and host many discussions and games involving different demographics, like the popular shows Odd One Out and Middle Ground. These channels are very different from the typical personality-focused channels of years past. They had an idea for a channel concept, funded it, hired staff, and executed it. A similar phenomenon took place, with the wave of BuzzFeed video producers leaving the company. Watcher and the Try Guys are two examples of channels that used their momentum from BuzzFeed to jumpstart the creation of their own production company. Rather than moving to TikTok or making a more personal, less produced YouTube channel, they took what they learned at BuzzFeed and made high-quality content under a new but familiar brand. Online personalities were now more focused on making a brand than being the brand itself. A once beloved outlet for creative people to express themselves has become nothing but a corporate media platform. But how did this all happen? Well, it's actually always been this way. Remember that YouTuber I showed you at the beginning of this video? She's not actually a real YouTuber. She went by the name Lonely Girl 15 on YouTube, where she would document her life as a teenage girl. However, it caused a lot of stir when it was revealed that this persona was actually crafted by a small group of filmmakers to capitalize on the popularity of personal and relatable content. So YouTube hasn't really changed. There's always been large production companies involved in the making of YouTube videos. The only thing that's changed is you no longer have to hide the amount of production that's involved. But there is still some hiding taking place. While it's not the production quality that's hiding, the people responsible for the content may be hiding behind a brand. Assuming that you've spent any time at all browsing YouTube in the past 8 or so years, you've likely stumbled upon videos by Wired magazine, where celebrities answer the web's most searched questions. These are incredibly popular videos, raking in millions of views every time. They follow a very simple format, where celebrities rip little pieces of paper off a board exposing common questions on Google, including their name. Now, assuming you've seen those videos, you've likely stumbled upon videos by GQ magazine, where celebrities reply to fans on the internet. These are incredibly popular videos raking in millions of views every time. They follow a very simple format where celebrities read several tweets directed at them and provide a response. Are you sensing a pattern here? Well, if you've seen those videos, you've likely stumbled upon videos by Bon Appetit magazine, where celebrities try to keep up with a professional chef. These are incredibly popular videos raking in millions of views every time. They follow a very simple format where celebrities stand behind a professional chef and try to cook a meal with only verbal directions. And finally, assuming you've seen those videos, you've likely stumbled upon videos by Architectural Digest magazine, where celebrities give a tour of their home. These are incredibly popular videos, raking in millions of views every time. They follow a very simple format where celebrities invite you into their home and give a tour, explaining the backstory of every trinket on every shelf. Would you be surprised to learn that all of these YouTube channels, including many more like Vogue and Vanity Fair, are all produced by a single production company creating content under 20 different names? It's the YouTube equivalent of a ghost kitchen, where under a single roof, one kitchen is producing food and selling it under 44 different restaurant names. The same thing is happening on YouTube, where one production company is creating content under 20 different channel names, using the branding of America's biggest magazines. YouTube has become something more. No longer are personalities the focus of YouTube, but entire brands are now the biggest channels on YouTube. You no longer have the biggest YouTubers on the platform, you have the biggest YouTube channels. Even mrbeast has become a brand, no longer completely centered around the personality that is Jimmy Steven Donaldson. Even me, a YouTuber with only 15,000 subscribers, didn't really find success until I leaned into the brand. I've had several channels throughout my life, starting all the way back when I was only 12 years old. And when I started this channel, I was unsure of what to name it. I ultimately went with Comrade Casey, where I produce a show under the name North Star Radio. My growth was incredibly slow at first, spending nearly 10 months making videos before I reached even 500 subscribers. My channel didn't really take off until I fully leaned into the North Star Radio brand, changing my channel name to North Star Radio after hitting 500 subscribers. This channel is not a local news channel, as much as I try to lean into that shtick. But for whatever reason, having since branded my channel under North Star Radio, it's working. I knew from the very beginning I couldn't make a quaint personal channel like it was still 2014. I needed to make a brand. Now, is that a good thing? I don't know. But what it does show is YouTube is no longer the personal content platform it once was. There are tons of incredibly successful people on TikTok who put very little, if any, time into editing their videos. As long as you're interesting or have something interesting to say, you can just set down your phone and start talking and people will gravitate towards it. The purpose YouTube once served now takes place on TikTok, at least for the time being. Thanks for watching North Star Radio. Peace and love, and free Palestine.